Hey, power people. Welcome to Renewable Rides, powered by VECKTA. I'm Gareth Evans, the CEO and founder.
And I'm Dan Roberts, head of sales. In each episode, we'll uncover the latest trends, learnings, challenges, and triumphs relating to the energy transition, on-site energy, and sustainability through the experiences of our inspiring guests and team here at VECKTA.
So get ready for an exhilarating adventure into the fast-paced world of challenging limits, adapting purposefully, and empowering co-creation to accelerate the energy transition with those that are on a mission to create a more resilient, profitable, sustainable, and thriving energy future. So let's go.
Welcome to Renewable Rides, fellas. Super excited to be here. We're all hanging out in Orlando at the Honeywell User Group Conference. And today, super excited to hang out with Michael Worry, the CEO and CTO at Nuvation Energy.
Yep.
And thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Dan, our head of sales, and me. But let's explore your renewable ride and your energy transition journey.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear, what are you passionate about, first of all?
So I'm, highly passionate about all the energy transition that's going on, how we're converting over from an industry that used to generate energy out of fossil fuels and how that's ever increasingly becoming renewable generation. And as an engineer, I'm particularly excited about it because we get to use our engineering skill for good.
Yeah.
And so I'm a Canadian engineer. I got the Iron Ring, which means that I'm a Canadian engineer. And we take this pledge called the Iron Ring Pledge that says that we use our engine skill for good. And what I love most about what I get to do at Nuvation is we're building products. Specifically, we do battery management systems for energy storage, and that accelerates the adoption of solar and wind by enabling energy storage. And so I love that we get to be part of that transition and run a growing profitable company while doing good with the planet, because this is the planet you got. I got 2 daughters, and I'm going to be around for a while, and I want my daughters to have the planet to live on. And so that's what I'm passionate about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So before we get into the work stuff, which is obviously going to be amazing, just tell us a bit about your family and what you guys do for fun.
Yeah. So things I do for fun, during the day, we build energy storage systems for our customers. And then for fun after hours, we build energy storage for months. So an example of that is we have a new vehicle that we built called Techno-Gecko, which we bring to events like Burning Man and Burning Man regionals and stuff like that. And it's actually a gigantic vehicle. It's like 100 feet long, 30 feet wide, hold like 150 people. And we can throw like rage in the desert for like thousands of people. And it's built using products. So we don't use our products like a customer would. But it's fun. It's just done after hours, and it kind of gives us that like customer experience. And it's built all around second life batteries. And so we had a bunch of Nissan Leaf batteries donated to the project, and we built a new electric field out of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you find that this is an employee perk that actually helps attract talent?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's actually an employee perk, so a bunch of our staff are involved with it, and they love it. They have a lot of fun with it. It's something we're really passionate about, and it's actually a really good recruiting angle.
Yes.
So we meet people who come to our build sessions, and we meet great engineers through that process, and then while I'm running Nuvation, and I get to utilize that during the day as well. So, yeah, so it's a great way to meet people.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And so this podcast is all about the energy transition, but people's journey along that transition.
Yep.
You mentioned before from Canada. We'd love to hear a bit of backstory. Where did you start?
Yeah.
So
I grew up in Canada.
Yep.
And an electrical engineer by education. And then when I graduated, I moved to California and got Nuvation started. So Nuvation's 26 years old. And we started as an electronic product design company with all this intentionality that we convert over to being a product-based company. So we did engineering services for many years, and we still do that today. But increasingly, the majority of our company is selling products into the energy storage industry. And I have 2 daughters, 18 and 16, and they've kind of grown up in this world of building. So they have a bunch of vehicles we built over the years. So they're very custom. Like I've been having conversations with them about building and fabricating and welding materials and aluminum versus titanium and where you would like weld struts and bolt things together and, drill holes in chassis and mount stuff on cars. Like, so they've got to like run up in that one world.
That's so good.
Yeah.
What was the catalyst or what spurred the transition from electronic products engineering to what you're doing now with the battery?
Yeah, great question. So it was in 2008, and we said, hey, the future is going to be renewables, solar, wind, energy storage, and electric vehicles, and that is how all begins. But in 2008, that was a lot of my friends were like, "What you talking about, man? Like electric vehicles are like golf carts." So what we wanted to do as engineers was look for opportunities to build products with that deterministic view of the future. And so we did that inside of our innovation garage style that we built an electric race truck. And so it's E-Rex, and it's got more torque per pound than a Porsche 911 Turbo. It's super fun to drive. It's this three-wheel train, and we built it in my driveway. And it was kind of our first mobile energy storage system. And in doing that, we found, okay, you can buy off-the-shelf inverters, you can buy off-the-shelf motors, you can get off-the-shelf batteries, obviously, but we couldn't find a good battery management system, vehicle controller, or high-power, high-voltage DC inverter. So as electronics engineers, we built those three things for this car. And then the other side of that, we evaluated and said, okay, which of these three do you think has the best value and commercial opportunity? And we picked battery management system. Okay. We then pulled that from, garage style, which is kind of like one-off, and pulled that into Nuvation proper, and then convert that into a product that we sell to customers. And so that's actually the origin story of how we got to be a battery management system company. Yeah.
So for our audience that may not be as familiar, can you maybe define battery management system and why it's important to batteries?
Yeah. So batteries, especially lithium batteries, have to be kept within certain operating ranges, right? So if a cell gets too high in voltage, it can swell and you can have thermal events. If your cell voltage gets too low, you can chemically damage the cell, and then you won't be able to use it again. So it's important you keep it within the operating parameters of voltage, temperature, current. And so a battery management system is a product of hardware and software that ensures the battery is kept within its operating ranges.
And does that extend the life of the battery? Does it allow you to get more cycles through it? What are some of the value properties of it?
So, top of the list is it stops you from having thermal events required. They keep it in ranges. The next is if you, for example, over discharge a battery even once, the battery can be destroyed and no longer be so. So it's important you keep it in ranges. And then you can actually tighten in your operating range and get more cycle life. So for example, if you're operating, rail to rail of your cell voltages, you might get 3,000 cycles, but if you're operating, say, 80% of the discharge, then you might get 4,000 cycles, right? So you can actually use these ranges to make trade-offs, how much energy you get per cycle, power we can draw on each cycle versus what cycle like you want.
Before you were saying you guys are super busy, talk to us about who your customers are, what you're super excited about.
Yeah, it is a great time to be in energy storage because we've been doing this since 2008. And when we first started, we'd go to trade shows and people are like, "What's a battery management system? Like, why would I want that?" Yeah. Now, everyone in the industry knows what that is, knows why you want it. And back then there was exactly one trade show we could go to per year, the battery show. And now there's a trade show like every week, and like all the cool kids are here. So we go to like RE Plus, and there's over 10,000 people or something, right? And we're like, where all these people come from? So in some ways, I think we were maybe in the industry like a decade early, but the other side that gave us a decade in order to get designed in with all these customers, they get our products really polished. So that's it's a really good time now to have all that history and be like,
I'm going on that journey. You said you're CEO, CTO, family man. building cars,
Yeah.
and obviously
Or
navigating,
builder.
and obviously navigating this rapidly growing industry. Like, how do you balance all that?
I just don't see much.
Yeah.
But I've got a fabulous team at Nuvation we build out a lot of these products together. And then we've got a whole Burning Man crew. So we've got a camp of people, so we're a camp of about 80 people. And so that's how we like build out this like large vehicle. And for me, that's actually part of the reason. It's like a social experience. Right? So there's some people that get together and play golf. Some people get together and play cars. We build to get together that we're to build. And so just like making stuff with a joint creation. So it's like hanging out with my friends. So we make this fun stuff.
I often say, there's no such thing as work-life balance, but there's work-life integration.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yep. I really do. Because I love what I do at Nuvation, right? Like that's, I wouldn't work the hours I work if I didn't love it. And I love that we get to solve problems for our customers, while at the same time doing good for the planet. That's what really gets us excited at Nuvation, is that we're using our engineering skill for good.
Did you always know you wanted to be an engineer and be in this space, or for people who are looking at our industry, any sort of career advice for how they should be thinking about?
Good question. So I always knew I wanted to be an engineer.
Yeah.
In fact, I from very young as a kid, as I was building stuff. So I was always building stuff with like Solo and Meccano and Lego and wires, whatever wood and straps I could find. I was always making stuff. Interesting enough, in my whole family tree, there wasn't anyone who was an engineer, not even really in my local friend group. And so I didn't have any like engineer role models directly. But my mom told me, I'll give her credit where she said, I think you should go apply to be an engineer. So I think that's the kind of thing you like doing. And so I went to University of Waterloo Engineering up in Canada, and very much engineering is my self-expression. Like, it's much core to Nuvation's principles. Is engineering creations just pour out of us automatically. We just want to build things all the time, and so I always knew I wanted to be an engineer. I can't claim I had any early ambitions to go into energy storage, because energy storage didn't exist back then. It barely existed in 2008 when we started this. But now that I'm into it, I do really enjoy, energy. Being an electrical engineer, like kind of electricity is my thing. And so, batteries are really the cleanest way in order to work with energy.
How do we see what are the opportunities or challenges in us accelerating transition, whether it's related to batteries or of course the transition more broadly?
So I mean, part of the barrier is people just not used to batteries, and so I think there's a level where people become comfortable with what they're doing. Right. So I have friends, for example, who would be like, I'm never going to buy an electric vehicle because the batteries are unsafe. I'll be in a car in this battery car. And I'll say, okay, so like, well, you're willing to be in a gas car that is actually purposely exporting gas.
Yeah.
And if you run the numbers, it's actually way safer to be in an electric car where in the highly unlikely event there's fire, you get time to pull over and get out of the car. Whereas in the gas car, it can just explode. And if you look at the math, there's far less EV fires than there is gas fires for the number of cars on the road. So I find it humorous that people are comfortable driving around a gas bomb just because they're familiar with it. And so it actually harks back to, I remember talking with my grandfather, and he grew up in an age where electricity was kind of still being discovered, and it wasn't yet commonly in homes. And he told me that on the farm, they didn't have electricity for a long time because they didn't understand it. And they were worried you were going to walk by the outlet and the electricity would like leap out and grab you. Wow. Right. And now we walk by outlet, we don't have any concern with that. But like, just because you're unfamiliar with it, it's scary.
Yeah.
No. So I think that's one of the barriers, kind of on a like a societal level. And then more generally in energy storage, I think there's barriers in utilities, because they are limited and rewarded to build a very resilient grid. And so they're understanding to be careful in how they roll out new technologies. And so I think, we're figuring out how to do that. Because in Nuvation's history, where we built a wide variety of products, we're used to seeing like rapid adoption of new consumer devices. The latest electronic wisdom consumer device, people buying adopted quickly. Whereas it's taken, many years and decades for gravity storage to really, gain widespread adoption as people figure out how to use it and adopt it into the existing grid.
Out of all the deployments you've done, are there any kind of standout projects that you're super proud of or excited about? Amazing use cases that people can see the value of batteries?
Yeah, I mean, we've got hundreds of deployments in the field now. I remember one of the first ones we did where we designed the full system was a high power RC system in Santa Rosa, and for a wastewater treatment plant. And it was fun. We won the project away from GE and Tesla.
Yeah.
And Nuvation, though we've grown a lot, we're a little bit smaller than GE and Tesla. And that was put in order to handle that if there was a power failure or they needed to do a load deferral, they have on site, large diesel gen sets, but they take 15 minutes to like spin up. And so the intentionality of that system was to cover those 15 minutes. So a 4C system, the 15-minute battery, really by power.
Yeah.
And so that was a system that was designed by Nuvation. And I was particularly proud of our engineers who have did that. As an electronic product design company, we over 26 years building electronic products. And so we developed a lot of processes and systems. It's like how we do documentation of requirements and unit testing and like that. So when we designed this one, we actually had it at our partner company, Parker, to do the testing. And we shipped it there, and we had engineers on site, and we went through all the unit testing and brought the whole system up in a day and completed all the testing successfully. And Parker told us they'd never seen a system come out in a day. And they asked us, like, how many systems you've done like that? We're like, well, this is the first one. And they're like, okay, like we've had people that have, done many systems, and they take weeks or months in order to bring a system up. So we knew we were honest. And we're like, we're good at this, right? And in particular, like a high power system like that. So that was a whole fun use case together.
That's so good.
One of the things that shared with me yesterday in talking about and just selling the mix and making it more approachable, worth noting is your robotic.
Oh yeah. So that's another fun one. Another Nuvation Garage program, and this is a energy storage system. It's a hybrid energy storage system. It's a robot decorator, and so it has batteries that provide energy to the robot, so it can drive around and keep beer cold. And then it's a hybrid because it's that beer that provides energy to humans. So yeah, this is highly popular in the desert because cold beer that's mobile and drives around in the desert is extremely popular.
So I just love the idea of making it more approachable, making it fun. It's not just batteries, but it makes some great applications.
Yep. Yeah. And if the podcast has links and stuff, we can get you some links to Nuvation Energy Garage. So there was some links to like Gecko and the robot configurator and this kind of fun stuff.
Obviously, bro.
Yeah.
What does the future look like for Nuvation? Like, what's your vision of where you guys get to?
We're going to continue to accelerate the adoption of energy storage, and so we build products and services, and we sell that to energy storage companies that are deploying energy storage systems in the field. And so we keep building more products and services as systems get larger. So, for example, when we started, a large energy storage system was like a megawatt. And so, we had like the products in order to support that, and you'd go up to 1,000 volt stacks and stuff like this. And so we keep building like higher voltage, higher current, and we keep bringing like the next levels, right? So like because now large sites are like over gigawatt hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so these things are hundreds, even thousands of battery stacks. And so we keep building more products to handle, sites of that size.
That's awesome. That's so. We have a bit of a tradition on the podcast of asking people what their favorite energy technology is, I think we can probably imagine what you answer. But if you could be any energy technology, what would you be and why?
Yeah, I would be electricity because it's clean, and I'm an electrical engineer, right? So like at my house, when I bought the house, it had various gas systems in the house, I don't like burning fossil fuels. I try to be part of my lifestyle to be clean. I was one of the very first adopters of buying EV.
Yeah.
So I bought one of the first batch of 50,000 Nissan Leafs. I bought one of those. And the thing was supposed to have a 100-mile range, but it was kind of more like 70. So, in California, I live in San Jose. I couldn't even do like a round trip to San Francisco for dinner. So it was almost masochistic.
Yeah.
Make that car work. But I tried for many years. Now I have Tesla, which is very range, so that works well. But like in my house, I put solar panels on, really early, back in like 2010. So once we declare it in this 2008 declaration, we're going to be an energy storage company. I was like, all right, well, I'm the CTO, so I gotta live a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I gotta drive an EV, I gotta solar panels in my house, all this stuff, and then I converted my whole house over to electric. Right? So like had a plumber come in, rip out the gas water heater and put in electric water heater. And the guy looks at the work order and looks at me and he's like, hey, there must be some mistake, because what I do all day long is rip out electric water heaters that are expensive and put in gas water heaters that are cheaper to run. And you've got a perfectly good gas hot water heater here. You want me to take it out and put in an electric one? I was like, yeah, that's what I want. Because I don't want to be burning gas. It's bad for the planet. And for me, electricity is free. Because I got nice big solar. I outrated one of my house. I was like, okay, I'll do what you want. And then I ripped out the gas furnace and put in an electric heat well. Because I don't want to be burning any gas. And so it was actually a proud day for me when I got to go and cap off the gas run coming to my house. I don't use this at all. I see her.
So good. Do you have a battery at the house?
I should.
Yeah.
Oddly, I don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a very grandfathered plan. I got my solar so early that I actually make money selling electricity to the grid off my solar, and then I'm charging my EV at night at a much cheaper rate schedule. So I think I should put one in just so I get the question. Even though economically it's not needed, I want to be able to say yes to the question.
Yeah. From a resilience perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's all. You said, I suppose you touched on the fact that you are the CEO of the company. Yeah. How do you, as an engineer, also lead that kind of entrepreneurial lifestyle?
So I've always loved being a CEO. So like I founded Nuvation back in 1997, and we're a very engineering-based company. My business started with my farming and is also an engineer, system engineer out of Waterloo. And so we have a very pragmatic view of how to run a company. We make decisions based on information, and we define that information does not include opinions. So it needs to be like database and how we do everything. And that kind of culture, works really well throughout the company. And the majority of the company is engineers. Yeah. So we even most of our salespeople are engineers. And selling energy storage is a very technical sale. People don't buy energy storage because it's like pretty or shiny. They buy energy storage because there is a economic financial return in order to put in that energy storage system. So coming from engineering roots and being able to talk to customers very technically about what their problems are, how we can solve them, for me is fulfilling. Very gratifying, and for me it's cool because I get to have I kind of call it the triangle, because I have the engineering skill, like the CEO entrepreneurial skill, and then have developed sales skill. I didn't have any sales training going through an engineering degree, so that was probably the hardest part for me to learn, because in the early days we're around innovation, and I give a customer quote, and customers never say, oh, this price is good, I'll buy it. Yeah. They always say, this price is too high and I'm not going to buy it unless it's here. And in the early days, I'm Canadian. I thought that was honest. It's like, oh, okay, I have to make this lower or they'll buy it. And then I learned over time, it's like, no, that's just a default reaction. Yeah. Any quote And so when you're playing with your own money, running your own company, you learn sales really quickly.
Yes. That's great. Have you got any other amazing advice for people who want to get into this industry?
So if you're aspiring to get in energy storage, it is a fabulous time to get energy storage because the whole industry is growing really quickly. And so companies are, aggressively hiring, looking for engineers, salespeople, people that can commission systems in the field, technicians. There's a lot, and there's not necessarily a background in energy storage because it's such a new industry. But you go crossover skills. So people that have like solar backgrounds, or people that have EV backgrounds, these sort of things like crossover pretty nicely. I've had people talk to me about how do I like develop the main knowledge energy storage because it's not my background. I was like, well, go buy an electric vehicle, go put solar in a house. You should do both those things anyways. But it'll actually give you an understanding of how these technologies work, and maybe it'll start making electricity your favorite energy.
Yeah. And it also shows people how complex these things are.
Yep.
And how many of these enabling businesses, technologies it needs to actually pull these solutions together.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true.
And the one thing I'd add, having done much of that myself, is also start to look at your utility bills as well and dissect those and understand how solar and storage impacts that. Well, that you should understand the economics of it, because that is the driver of everything.
Yeah.
Any favorite quotes that you'd like to share?
One of my favorite quotes is the CEO of PG&E attended one of these energy storage conferences. At PG&E, for your audience, is Pacific Gas and Electric. One of the largest utilities in the United States. They service California, and he got on stage. It was about 5 years ago, and he said, "Hey, I want to share something with all your energy storage people. PG&E has officially built our last ever gas plant, last ever coal plant, even our last ever nuclear plant. Going forward, 100% of our plans for energy generation is solar and wind combined with energy storage." And the whole crowd cheered. And he said, and the reason why we're doing this, we like that it is good for the planet. Like, we appreciate that. That's a good thing. But really, this is economic. That solar, wind, and energy storage is now the cheapest way for us to make energy. And I was like, okay, this industry is going to win. This is going to be huge. So that's certainly one of my favorite quotes.
That's awesome. And if you could listen to anyone on our podcast, is there someone that you'd love to hear from that we should put down, get on the podcast, and what would you ask them?
I would love to hear the story from, some of the CEOs or executives of some of these large battery companies and what they've been through.
Yeah.
So, go get like Robert, the CEO of CTL, or someone of that pedigree, and kind of hear their story of how they built out these gigantic gigafactories, and what that growth curve looked like. Because I visited CTL in Nindy. And, like in Star Wars movies where they show you the spaceship and it looks like the spaceship just goes to the finishing point and think that last spaceship. And so I remember going to the plant and they toured us through one of the gigafactories. And it's like an enormous building, like multiple football fields. And you walk out through and it's super impressive and automated. And then you walk out of the building and you look down the street and that was one building. And next to it, there's another one, just as big, another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. That goes to the vanishing point. Okay, this is amazing, right? So I'd love to hear the story of how they got to that. Is it's just the level of infrastructure, growth, capital is just out.
And no one realizes the stress, the heartache, the pain, the journey that those businesses are to get to where they are.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Cool. Well, we've got an action.
Robin, we're coming for you.
Yeah. Awesome. This is a pleasure. This is absolutely awesome. We're looking forward to getting to collaborate more and more, hang out more.
Absolutely.
And, thank you for taking the time to
share
your story with.
Thanks for having me join. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
This is awesome. Cheers, bud.
We receive a lot of questions from business leaders around the world wanting to learn more about the energy transition, what is possible, and where to start. So to help you stay informed and up to date on best practices, opportunities, risks, and success stories, we created an industry newsfeed at VECKTA.com/news with all our podcasts, blogs, and newsletter. Check it out and connect with Dan, myself, and the VECKTA team to learn more. Cheers and have a good one.